Welcome back, everyone. World Baseball News for the week of March 20th. This is it. 2 more days of the 2023 World Baseball Classic. 1 more semifinal match today. Championship tomorrow. Only one team will be left standing. The first champion crowned in 6 years. And the winner tomorrow will hold the crown for the next 3 years. There was also some big news last week in NPB, but the WBC is taking up all the headlines. So first, let's take a look at everything that's happened in the past week. At the start of last week, pools A and B were all done. Cuba, Italy, Japan, and Australia had advanced. Those 4 teams were in Tokyo for the first quarterfinal games. But before we get to that, let's look at how pools C and D ended. Pool C first. Going into last week, Colombia and Canada were 1-0, USA and Mexico were 1-1, and Great Britain was 0-2. Monday, Colombia versus Great Britain. KBO pitcher William Cuevas started for Colombia. For Britain, it was CPBL pitcher Tyler Visa. Colombia took a 3-0 lead in the fourth when Dayan Frias drove in 2 with a bases-loaded single. Britain tied it up in the bottom of the inning. Chavez Young hit a bases-loaded single to make it a 3-3 game. 1 inning later, Jaden Rudd hit a 2-run double to make it 5-3 Britain. Harry Ford later hit a home run and they took a 7-3 lead into the ninth. Colombia scored 2 and had a runner on second but could not continue the rally. Great Britain 7-5 over Colombia for their first ever WBC win. Canada versus USA. Lance Lynn starting for Team USA. 19-year-old Mitch Bratt starting for Canada. Lynn made it 5 innings with only 1 allowed. Bratt only got 1 batter out. USA scored 9 runs in the first inning, 6 of those charged to Bratt. It started with a single from Mookie Betts, walks issued to Trout and Goldschmidt. Then came runs batted in from Arenado, Tucker, Real Muto, Cedric Mullins, and Trout. Canada got their only run in the second, a solo home run from Jared Young. USA got an RBI triple from Tim Anderson in the second, followed by a sac fly from Real Muto and a solo blast from Trey Turner. USA led 12-1 in the second, and that score would hold till the 7th when the mercy rule went into effect. Tuesday, Colombia versus Canada. Noah Skiro starting for Canada. Adrian Almeida for Colombia. 5 scoreless with 5 Ks for Skiro. 3 innings, 1 run for Almeida. Canada's Bo Naylor drove in the game's first run with an RBI single in the top of the 4th. No further scoring till the 8th when Owen Casey batted in another one for Canada. And they really widened their lead in the 9th when they got a 3-run homer from Otto Lopez. Skiro, along with Curtis Taylor, Trevor Brigden, and Scott Matheson combined for a 5-hit shutout. Canada won this one 5-0. Mexico versus Great Britain. Taijuan Walker started for Mexico, struck out 8 batters in 4 scoreless innings. Joseph King got the start for Britain. He only made it 1 2/3, 1 surrendered. Mexico scored that first run in the second inning on an infield single from Alexis Wilson that brought in a run from third. Britain tied it in the 6th when B.J. Murray did the same thing. Mexico regained the lead in the 7th. Again, it was Alexis Wilson with an RBI single. Great effort by the Brits, but Mexico was able to hold on for a 2-1 win. Wednesday, Canada versus Mexico. Mexico's pitcher Jose Urquidy went 4 innings, allowed 2, struck out 5. Canada's pitcher Rob Zastryzny gave up 3 runs in 2 innings. Mexico wasted no time. Rowdy Tellez singled in 2 runs in the top of the first. Canada kept it close early on. A solo shot from Bo Naylor in the 4th made it a 3-2 game in favor of Mexico. But in the 6th, Randy Arozarena hit a base-clearing triple. Joey Meneses followed with a single to bring Arozarena home. Mexico scored a few more in the late innings, including a home run from Tellez. Mexico won big, 10-3 to clinch first place in Pool C. Last game for Pool C, USA and Colombia. Merrill Kelly on the mound for USA, Luis de Avila for Colombia. For Kelly, 3 innings, 2 runs. De Avila, 1 2/3, no runs. Top of the 3rd, an RBI single from Trout made it 1-0 USA. Bottom of that same inning, Colombia got a sac fly from Gio Urshela and an RBI double from Reynaldo Rodriguez. It was 2-1 Colombia. In the 5th, Trout gave USA the lead, singling in 2 runs, and the bullpen got it done for USA. 6 relievers combined for 6 shutout innings. From the 5th to the 8th, Colombia was held without a hit. USA 3-2 to clinch a spot in the quarterfinals. So here are the final Pool C standings. Mexico wins it with a record of 3-1. USA was also 3-1 but lost the head-to-head, so they are second. Canada 2-2. Great Britain and Colombia were 1-3, but Britain won the meeting between the two. That means Great Britain automatically qualifies for the 2026 WBC. Colombia gets relegated to the qualifiers. Over to Pool D, Venezuela went into last week as the pool leader at 2-0. Israel 1-0. Puerto Rico 1-1. Dominican Republic 0-1. And Nicaragua was 0-2. Monday, Dominican Republic versus Nicaragua, both teams looking for their first win. Christian Javier on the mound for the Dominicans. He lasted 4 scoreless innings with 4 Ks. J.C. Ramirez got the start for Nicaragua. He only made it 2 2/3, surrendering 2. No offensive explosion by DR, but they scored little by little. one in the first, one in the second, two in the fourth. Then came a pair of home runs from Juan Soto in the sixth and Manny Machado in the seventh. Nicaragua loaded the bases in the eighth but only got one run, batted in by Elian Miranda. Dominican Republic took this one 6-1. Nicaragua fell to 0-3. Puerto Rico versus Israel. Jose De Leon started for Puerto Rico. 5 2/3 perfect innings with 10 strikeouts, tying a WBC record. If not for the pitch limit, who knows what he could have done. Israel started Colton Gordon. He only made it 1 inning. Puerto Rico got RBI doubles from Javi Baez and Eddie Rosario in the first to take a 3-0 lead. 3 more in the second, a 2 RBI double from Enrique Hernandez and an RBI triple from Emmanuel Rivera. 3 more in the fifth on a bases-loaded triple from Francisco Lindor. Enrique Hernandez struck again in the eighth, singling in the mercy run. Puerto Rico 10-0 over Israel. De Leon, Yaxel Rios, Edwin Diaz, and Dwayne Underwood combined for an 8-inning perfect game. Tuesday, Venezuela versus Nicaragua. Erasmo Ramirez started for Nicaragua. 3 innings, 3 Ks, no runs allowed. Eduardo Rodriguez started for Venezuela. 2 innings, 1 allowed. Nicaragua scored 1 in the second to grab an early lead, but in the fourth, Venezuela scored 3 on back-to-back RBI singles from Andres Jimenez and Eugenio Suarez. 1 inning later, Anthony Santander doubled in a run. 5 Venezuelan relievers combined for 7 shutout innings. Venezuela improved to 3-0 with a 4-1 win. Dominican Republic versus Israel. The Dominicans went with Rowanzi Contreras. He was pulled after 2 2/3 scoreless. For Israel, Jacob Steinmetz lasted just 1 2/3 with 1 allowed. DR put up 1 in the first, 2 more in the third on a solo homer from Manny Machado, and an RBI double from Ketel Marte. They really piled it on late though, 4 runs in the sixth, 3 more in the seventh, and that brought a mercy rule ending to this one. Contreras, along with Genesis Cabrera, Luis Ortiz, and Hector Neris, combined for a 1-hit shutout with no walks. DR won 10-0. Wednesday, final day of pool play, Israel and Venezuela. Venezuela went with Jesus Luzardo. He threw 4 complete innings, only 50 pitches, no runs, 5 Ks. The Israelis started Robert Stock, 3 innings, 3 runs surrendered. All those came in the first inning. Acuna batted in the first one. Suarez drove in the next 2. Pretty quiet the rest of the way. Venezuela got solo home runs from Eduardo Escobar and Suarez. They won this one 5-1 to finish pool play undefeated and champions of Pool D. One last game, and it was a WBC Classic rivalry, Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. Fernando Cruz got the start for Puerto Rico, Johnny Cueto for Dominican Republic. Cruz was taken out in the second, Cueto left in the third, but not before giving up the first 2 runs of the game. Christian Vasquez put Puerto Rico on the board with a solo blast. Lindor, Hernandez, and MJ Melendez all batted in runs in the third. It was 4-0 Puerto Rico. Dominican Republic got a solo shot from Juan Soto in the bottom of the inning to get on the board. In the fifth, Lindor hit a single to center fielder Julio Rodriguez, who let the ball get past him, and Lindor made it all the way home. Edwin Diaz finished off the Dominican batters in the ninth. Puerto Rico won 5-2 to earn a spot in the quarterfinals. Dominican Republic gets eliminated. But the celebration was cut short. As they celebrated in the field, Diaz got hurt. He was taken off the field in a wheelchair. Later it was revealed that he'll need surgery and will likely miss the entire Major League season. Final Pool D standings. Venezuela finishes a perfect 4-0. Puerto Rico 3-1. Those 2 advance to the quarterfinals. Dominican Republic, a team many of us thought would win it all, takes the early exit. Israel got their 1 win to stay in the WBC. Nicaragua did not. After an 0-4 finish, they'll have to requalify next time. The quarterfinals in Tokyo started last Wednesday. First up was Pool A champion Cuba and Pool B runner-up Australia, played in front of over 35,000 fans, a large crowd for a game not involving Japan. Starting for Australia was Steve Kent. He got the game started with 2 scoreless innings. Cuba's starting pitcher was Yariel Rodriguez, who's had plenty of experience pitching in Tokyo Dome. He allowed 1 run in 3 1/3 innings. Rickson Wingrove put Australia on the board first with a second-inning RBI single. Cuba tied it up 1 inning later when a runner came home from third on a Luis Robert groundout. Cuba took its first lead in the fifth on a sac fly from Alfredo Despine. Shortly after, Yoelkis Guibert batted in 2 runs and Cuba had a 4-1 lead. In the sixth, Rickson Wingrove once again came through for Australia with a 2-run homer to bring them within 1. But Cuba's NPB relief duo of Levan Moanello and Rydell Martinez made sure that was as close as they would get. Cuba won this one 4-3, and for the first time since the first WBC in 2006, advanced to the semifinals. Thursday, Pool A champion Japan and Pool B runner-up Italy faced off in the other quarterfinal match. Another sellout crowd of 41,000 on hand at Tokyo Dome. Ryan Castellani started for Italy, only lasted 2 innings, no runs but issued 3 walks. Shohei Ohtani started for Japan, 4 2/3, 71 pitches, 2 runs given up. No score till the third when Japan put 4 runs on the board, most of that on a 3-run homer from Kazuma Okamoto. Italy fought back in the fifth. Dominic Fletcher batted in 2 runs to make it a 4-2 game. But same inning, Japan responded. Munetaka Murakami doubled in a run. Next batter, Okamoto doubled in 2. He had 5 RBI for the night. In a surprise move, Yu Darvish came out and pitched 2 innings in relief, though he allowed a solo home run to Dominic Fletcher. But Japan was the clear winner in this one, 9-3 the final. Japan advanced to the semifinals. All 5 WBCs they've done that. No other team has even made 4 semifinal appearances. The next quarterfinal game was on Friday in Miami. Pool C champion Mexico versus Pool D runner-up Puerto Rico. Marcus Stroman took them out for Puerto Rico, going 4 1/3, allowing 2. Julio Urias got the start for Mexico, but it didn't go well. 4 innings, 4 runs, all in the first inning. Puerto Rico got a sac fly from Emmanuel Rivera and back-to-back home runs from Javi Baez and Eddie Rosario. Mexico got on the board in the first on a solo shot from Isaac Paredes. Alex Verdugo batted in another one in the fifth. Mexico was down by 2. In the seventh, Paredes tied it up with a bases-loaded single. Next batter, Luis Urias singled in the go-ahead run. In the ninth, Puerto Rico put 2 runners on but couldn't bring them home. After scoring 4 runs in the first, they were shut out for the last 8 innings. Mexico held on for a 5-4 win, and for the first time ever, reached the semifinals of the WBC. Sunday, last quarterfinal match, USA versus Venezuela. Lance Lynn started for USA and allowed 2 runs in 4 innings. Martin Perez was the starting pitcher for Venezuela. He got roughed up in the first, allowed 3 runs, and was pulled after retiring just 1 batter. The game started with USA getting hits from their first 5 batters, Betts, Trout, Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Kyle Tucker, resulting in 3 runs scored. Venezuela responded in the bottom of the first. Luis Arias hit a 2-run shot to make it a 3-2 game. It was 5-2 USA after a home run from Tucker in the fifth. But then USA pitcher Daniel Bard loaded the bases and walked in a run. An RBI double from Salvador Perez tied the game at 5. A sac fly from Acuna gave Venezuela the lead. In the seventh, another home run from Luis Arias grew their lead to 7-5. But the big swing came in the eighth. A grand slam from Trey Turner made it 9-7 USA. Ryan Presley retired the side in the ninth. And in a wild one, USA came out the winner, 9-7 the final. For the third time and the second time in a row, USA reaches the semifinals. A tough finish for Venezuela. They looked so good in pool play and looked like they were going to come up with another big win on Saturday, but came up short. They failed to reach the semis once again, but when you look at how Team Venezuela performed, they should consider this WBC a success. Bad news for the Astros. Jose Altuve was hit by a fastball on his right hand in this game. His thumb was broken and he'll need to undergo surgery. He'll miss at least 2 months. So the 4 teams for the 2023 World Baseball Classic semifinals are Cuba, USA, Mexico, and Japan. One day after Team USA's big win over Venezuela, they were back on the field for the first semifinal match, taking on Team Cuba. Adam Wainwright back on the mound for Team USA. He threw 4 innings and allowed only 1. Roenis Elias got the start for Cuba. He gave up 3 runs in 2 innings. Wainwright got into trouble early, gave up 3 infield singles to the first 3 batters. Then a walk to Alfredo Despaigne made it 1-0 Cuba. Bases loaded and nobody out. But the next 3 batters were retired. No more runs scored. In the bottom of the first, a 2-run homer from Paul Goldschmidt gave USA the lead. Trey Turner homered in the second. Pete Alonso and Tim Anderson batted in runs in the third. USA scored 2 more in the fourth, another 2 runs in the fifth. 6th inning, a 3-run shot from Trey Turner, his second of the day and third in the last 2 days. He had 4 RBI for the day, as did Paul Goldschmidt. 8 extra base hits for Team USA. Miles Michaelis threw 4 innings in relief and surrendered only 1. USA rolled 14-2, earning a spot in the championship game for the second straight time. Trey Turner has 4 home runs in this WBC. He needs 1 more to tie the record set by Korea's Sung-Yup Lee in the 2006 Classic. One bright spot for Cuba, Alfredo Despaigne, with that first inning bases-loaded walk, got on base for the 18th straight WBC game, passing the old record of 17 by Robinson Cano. That streak goes all the way back to 2009. Not the way Cuba wanted it to end, but it was a good tournament for them overall. They made it to the semis for the first time since 2006. Players from the island, joined by defectors now playing in Major League Baseball, playing in Miami against Team USA. Another great WBC story. Merrill Kelly will get the start for USA in the championship game. His last start was against Colombia, went 3 innings and gave up 2 runs. USA's opponent in the final game will be determined today. In about 10 hours, Japan and Mexico take the field. Patrick Sandoval will be the starter for Mexico. For Japan, it's Roki Sasaki. The championship is on Tuesday, so 2 more games and we'll have our 2023 WBC champion. USA for the second time, Japan for the third time, or Mexico for the first time. We will find out soon. Lost in the excitement of the WBC is the fact that opening day for NPB, KBO, CPBL, and MLB are less than 2 weeks away. Last week there was a big signing in NPB that would normally be the top story. Trevor Bauer has signed with the Yokohama DNA Baystars. The 2020 NL Cy Young winner signed for 1 year, $4 million. He last pitched in 2021 for the Dodgers, 107 innings and 17 starts, ERA .259, WHIP .1003, win-loss record of 8-5. Good numbers on the mound, but the allegations of assault kept him off the field for the second half of 2021 and all of 2022. No criminal charges were filed against him, but he was released by the Dodgers. And let's end it with the schedule of opening days in Europe. Look at the first one on the list there. The French League has already started. That got underway over the weekend. The defending champion Rouen Huskies were shut out twice to start the season there. Czech Baseball Extraliga and Baseball Bundesliga in Germany open their seasons on March 31st. The rest all start in April. Austria on April 14th. Belgium on the 8th. The Italian League has a late start. They get started on the 15th. Switzerland on the 1st. Honkbal Hoofdklasse in the Netherlands is on the 6th. And the British Baseball League on the 16th. And that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.